Now, welcome to Biztech's Technology Show, where we feature technology companies who are making a difference in the tech space. Now, our featured company today is Altair, a publicly traded global technology company with over 8,000 employees in 25 countries. Now, they provide software and cloud solutions in the areas of simulation, high-performance computing, and artificial intelligence. Now, here to tell us more about Altair today is Srirangarajan, the Managing Director of ASEAN and Australia, New Zealand. Welcome to the show, Ranga.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for inviting me to your show.
Now, Ranga, give us an overview of Altair's business today.
Okay, so let me start with a bit of a history. Altair was founded in 1985. With the founding fathers actually started off as consulting company, and this company was started in Detroit, which is the hotbed for automotive those days. And the founding fathers were consulting engineers to the big three automotive companies, Chrysler, Ford, and General Motors. And then we started looking at developing software because there was a need for what is called as computer-aided engineering software. So they started developing the software, which was again used by the same automotive engineers. And then we started developing more and more software. We started adding more physics, as we call it, to our software tools. And then we started diversifying, or I should say, getting into adjacencies. All these simulations require very high number of computational power. So we started getting into HPC, high performance computing. And then over time, we got into IoT, Internet of Things, and data analytics. So we see now there is going to be a convergence of multiple technologies. Okay? So the simulation technology, high performance computing, Internet of Things, and data analytics, they all come together at this juncture, and they are creating the solutions that are required for now and the future.
And I'm going to come back to you on that, because that convergence has also very deep implications for the automotive industry. But right now, what sort of verticals? Now, automotive is obviously a big part of your business, but what sort of verticals and customers do you target in this region?
Right. So though we started off with automotive, we diversified because the fundamentals are the same. The technology is the same. We got into aerospace, space. We got into consumer goods, white goods with our HPC solution, governments, earth sciences, and so on. With data analytics, we are a strong player in the BFSI, banking, finance, securities, and insurance as well. So right now, we seem to be serving all the industry segments that you can think of.
Yeah, all the major ones. So could you give us an example of some of the key solutions that perhaps and customer use cases perhaps in the automotive sector for a start, and also then the on the analytics side, perhaps the FSI segment?
In the automotive, if you look at, as I said, we do simulation. So think of a situation where you want to build a car. You can sit down and design it, and then start creating prototypes and keep testing them for various things.
Yeah.
So for example, when you talk about automotive, first thing that obviously will come to your mind is safety, right? So in the event of a crash, whether I'm going to survive or not is what you as a driver or a passenger are going to think. So just imagine you have to build a car, a physical car, and then go and crash it against a barrier or a wall, for example, and then find out what happens. Okay, it has broken here, here, here. Now you go back to the drawing board, redesign, add some stiffeners to these different places, go back and crash. Yeah. So this is quite an iterative process, which would consume a lot of time, energy, and money. Right? So instead of doing all that, what if I simulate all these conditions using my computer program? And crash this car multiple times against the barrier from different directions and see the response. Okay, so that cuts down a lot of time. Earlier, people used to do something like 17, 20, 50 tests before they could get it right. Nowadays, theoretically they can just do one, and that's about it. Because
all of it is simulated first, and then they actually do, once they've ironed out probably 95% of it, they
yes,
basically do a physical prototype and then run the prototype.
right. So apparently the simulation technology has come of age. Now the accuracies are pretty good. It compares very well with the physical tests. So you don't really have to do number of physical tests anymore. Okay. So that's from a simulation perspective. From an engineering perspective in the automotive segment that you asked for, right? When it comes to BFSI, so you also wanted to understand what we guys do in the banking sector, right? So in the banking sector, there can be many cases. Most important thing is the risk. Banks want to be risk averse. They don't want to take risks, right?
Yes.
You don't want to bank with somebody who takes a lot of risks.
Yes.
Who gives loans to anybody and everybody, right? So they have to profile people. They have to find out there's something called as propensity modeling, the behavior of a person. Try to understand whether this guy is going to give back my money or not. Okay.
Yes.
So they do different kinds of modeling to avoid risk using our software.
Now, in that space, how do you compete with the people like, for example, Fair Isaac, which does credit scoring, data analytics, and so forth, and it's a specialist in this area? Why would a bank buy from you versus one of those traditional financial services vendors?
Yeah, so sometimes what happens is, when you go to a point solution provider, just buy that point solution and that's about it, right? Whereas banks will have a lot more use cases. It's not just one. Right?
Yeah.
They want to do AML, for example, anti-money laundering. They want to do, collection, for example. They want to do many other things. Customer loyalty, you name anything. There are too many things, too many use cases. So a tool like this, the software that we guys have, okay, it's called as Knowledge Works. It can do multiple things. It can be used for different use cases within the bank. Okay. So one investment, you are getting results for multiple areas. You know what I mean?
So that's your value proposition, the flexibility of your software versus a specific use case type software.
Yeah. There are so many other advantages, the way we do licensing.
Okay. And tell us more about that. How do you do licensing that's different, that you think that it's a competitive advantage?
Yeah. So we have a pretty interesting and patented model of licensing, which we have been using for the past couple of decades, I guess. So the way it works is we have multiple software. We have probably 45, 50 different software that we guys develop. If somebody wants to buy, let's say an automotive company will require something like 18 or 19 different types of software from our stable. Okay. Like I mentioned, crash, right? That's one.
Yes.
They want to do some optimization studies. That's another one, and so on.
Could be
now,
aerodynamics on one side, whatever.
Aerodynamics, yes, exactly. Aerodynamics and so on. Now, in a traditional way of buying software, they would be paying X amount of money for, let's say, for safety products, Y amount of money for aerodynamics, Z amount of money for optimization, and so on. Whereas here, in our scheme of things, they just buy certain number of units. So they buy certain number of units, they get all of them. So the advantage is they might be using certain things once in a while. Why should I invest so much of money on something which I'm going to use probably once in a quarter or once in a month?
Okay.
Right? So that's the saving that they get with our unit system.
Okay, so instead of per module, per seat, per month, or per user, per month, per year, or something like that, you say, all right, we bundle this whole thing together, and I charge you one price.
It's not exactly I bundle it all together,
Okay.
because no, it's not the same.
Okay.
You have flexibility to buy any number of units that you want.
Okay.
Okay, you buy certain number of units, you get only ABC tools. Okay.
Okay.
You buy certain more, probably you'll be able to use more. And certain number of units, you can use all the software under our realm, right? Now, it goes by the software that requires the highest number of units. So you decide, okay, this is the software that I want, or these are the set of software that I want, and out of this set, this one requires the maximum number of units.
All right.
You buy that, you get that, and anything else that requires lesser than that amount.
I see.
Sometimes it might so happen that when you buy this, you might be able to use multiples of something else, because they require probably half of this or less than half or 1/3 of this. You know what I mean?
Okay, so a smart CIO will be able to generate quite a lot of savings, even though in a best case scenario, he may want best of breed out of everything. It would cost him too much money.
Yep.
Whereas from a licensing perspective, he could buy from you and save. You may be a 90% solution, but he saves so much money by selecting you as the solution that it really helps his bottom line.
Exactly. You are right, Brian.
Okay, fantastic. Now, I want to zoom on to what you talked about earlier in terms of IoT and Industry 4.0. Now, in Southeast Asia, it's really a buzzword in terms of getting, so manufacturing industries in particular, governments are embracing this and telling companies to embrace this. Malaysia, where I live, and where you live as well, is pushing this rather hard. What sort of solutions do you offer, and what are the key benefits of this?
Yeah, it's a good question. IR4 is a buzzword. It's there in everyone's dictionary now. But again, as rightly mentioned, most of them are actually struggling with, where to start from.
Yes.
Right. So if I have to start with Malaysia, let's say, the Malaysian government is doing a great job. They are providing grants to promote the IR4 adoption. They also have assessors who go around assessing the IR4 readiness of companies. And they also have enrolled people like us who can provide the service and the software to companies that want to embrace IR4 or get onto, in a broader sense, the digital journey or digital transformation journey. Okay. So similarly, in other countries, there are in some countries there are funding available, and the rest of them they don't get any government funding, but they take initiatives. The private organizations take initiatives because they want to be competitive, they want to stay in the market, and they want to thrive. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's that's from the survival and the thriving perspective. Now coming to how it is happening here in Malaysia. Last couple of years we have been seeing good amount of adoption, not just talking about. Okay, we have delivered a few projects, though there was lockdown the whole of last year. People have started realizing that they have to start somewhere.
Could you give us some success stories?
Yes, I can certainly give you success stories. Probably I'll start with one. Serba Dynamics. We all know, or most of us know Serba Dynamics because they're a large company, right?
And very aggressive.
Very aggressive, yes. They are very aggressive, and they've been bagging orders not only from Malaysia, but also from overseas. Now we got engaged with them. Was it sometimes beginning of last year, I should say, and this was on one of their products, and the product is power generation turbine.
Okay.
So the power generation turbine. So what they were actually having some failures. Okay.
Mhm.
Now what they want to do was they wanted us to do condition monitoring and predictive maintenance.
Okay.
Okay. So these power generators are offshore, and if there is any unscheduled downtime, that's going to cost a lot of money.
Okay.
Okay. So our project involved collecting the data real time from different sensors that are thrown in, and then monitoring the health of the turbine, predicting the failure, thus cutting down the unscheduled downtime. Okay.
And this is what you reference to in terms of converging technology. Just by you explaining that to us, you have that convergence of technologies.
Yep, that's right. You got it right.
Yeah.
And we developed machine learning models for 4 turbines that are located in Jambi in Indonesia, and 2 of them in Malaysia, one in Kota Kinabalu and the other one in Meru Klang. Okay, so that's a fantastic story, and we have a few others. But anyway, so I'll stop here. I just wanted to prove a point that people have started actually adopting or embracing IR4 technology in Malaysia. And we are working with a few others now. At this point in time, I cannot disclose the names since we are still working.
Ranga, one of the challenges in ASEAN is really the SME space, because whether it's data analytics, whether it's IR 4.0 transformation, they're worried, they are hesitant. What have you seen because of your remit in terms of attitudes change because of the pandemic?
That's a good question. So SMEs in general, if you look at in most of the countries, not every country, but Australia is different, I should say. They would like to be conservative. They would like to sort of, adopt wait and watch kind of an approach. They don't generally just get into the bandwagon of technology and start experimenting with technology, at least in this part of the world.
Because they see it a lot of times in the past as a cost rather than as an opportunity. It's a mindset, isn't it?
Exactly, I was coming to that. You're right. Yes. Many people look at it as a cost. Why should I spend? They don't look at it as an investment. It just requires a small little change in the mindset and things would work fine. Okay. So if at all they look at it as an investment, they can look at buying a machine for $1 million as an investment.
Yeah.
But adopting a particular technology, probably it's hidden software, probably that's the reason.
Yeah.
They don't look at it as an investment. They look at it as an expense, as you rightly mentioned. So how the pandemic has changed? Yeah. So come pandemic, people have to change the way they have been doing business. So they have to do differently. They have to work from home. They have to, work from conditions that they are not used to. So adoption of digital technologies have started picking up. Once simple things like the video conferencing and stuff like that started picking up, then people got a little bit more, courageous to try out more things.
Yes.
Right. And actually, in a way, this pandemic has helped in accelerating this whole digital transformation in the SME segment, to be honest.
Now, where do you see, because of this shift in mindsets, because of the pandemic, have you noticed then a shift in investment priorities for CIOs in the large enterprise space in terms of their tech investments?
Yeah, there is a shift in the pattern, I should say. So most of them are shifting to the cloud. Okay, and they want everything to reside on the cloud rather than on-premise. Okay. So luckily for us, we play in the cloud space, and we have tools that are cloud native.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll give you an example of how this transformation is happening. It might be quite simple. You know, many of our customers couldn't go to their offices. They were asked to work from home, but they were not able to access the licensed servers from home.
Yes. Yeah.
So we gave them cloud licenses. So they were able to use our cloud licenses and perform their jobs. Yeah. So that's, in our opinion, a shift in the thought process and the way the things are done.
Where do you see opportunities for Altair in the next 12 to 24 months in the region?
As we speak, we sort of experience a strong momentum towards IR4. Okay. And our data analytics business in the BFSI space, as well as in the engineering space, my opinion, is going to really pick up pace. So that's where I see business coming up, in Malaysia. And other countries are different. In Australia, for example, there's a huge defense spend that we are tapping into. And if it is Vietnam, many of the private sectors have started coming up, and they want to be big, and they're ready to spend. So every country is different. So as far as Malaysia is concerned, it's this IR4 and the BFSI.
So can I zoom in a little bit on Vietnam itself? Because that's an interesting perspective. You say they're local companies, but the key thing you said is they want to be big.
Yep.
So they see technology as the enabler for them to grow big.
Yep, they do.
So could you share some examples of companies who just have that mindset, who are investing with you for the future?
Yeah, there are a number of them, I should say. Companies like VinFast, they want to be one of the largest automotive suppliers, in fact, automotive producers. They want to design, develop cars.
Yeah, and they currently partner with BMW, correct?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So for the first model, they collaborated with BMW, and now they are developing their own vehicles, their own designs, which is great.
And this is where you come in, because essentially they want to do design and development.
Yep.
And your tool suite basically helps them to accelerate that process.
Correct. Perfect. And there are similar examples like Taco, for example, which is a heavy equipment manufacturer. They make trucks, buses, agricultural machinery, and so on. So they've been our customers, and they want to invest more. So it's all good. Sorry.
Now, Ranga, final question, and this and let's try to be as broad as possible. And I want to take two perspectives. Old enterprise trying to transform to IR 4.0. That's one scenario. If I'm the CEO or, for example, a board member, what is a checklist that I need to do? I run a traditional manufacturing business. I need, it's a family business for 30 years. I need to transform. What are the key things that I need to think about in my transformation journey?
Fantastic. That's a very good question, Brian. In fact, I'm working with a few. I'm working with a few business owners and helping them to put together a plan for their digital journey. So there are two types that I'm seeing. One is, the more traditional entrepreneur, as you said, they have children. The second generation entrepreneur has come in, and he or she wants to make a difference. Okay, that's fantastic. So they are fueling quite a bit of energy, and they want to transform. So this is a checklist. If it's a first generation senior entrepreneur, first thing is he has to learn by himself. Okay, there's no other choice. Okay, he needs to understand the technology, right? And then he has to come up with a rough objective. on what he wants to do, what kind of transformation that he wants to see. Okay, that's number one. And then number two, he should also create a small little team. And this team should consist of youngsters as well as some of the old hats, okay, because they're the trusted employees, right? Now, the senior employees there also should be educated. They have to be sent for some kind of training to upgrade their skills, at least to get the knowledge of what exactly it is all about. They don't have to really sit down, dirty their hands and stuff like that, but at least they should know so that the directions could be properly set. So this small team should work together, okay? And they also should have some trusted advisor or a partner. It's very important. People that have been in the industry, that have gone through at least part of a journey, and sit together, work out the roadmap. Okay. As you speak, I am working with a few of them, developing the digital transformation roadmap. Okay. And it's also very important for them to choose the right technology vendor. What I've seen is there have been one or two cases that I've come across where the technology vendor does not really understand, or he doesn't get into the depths of what exactly is required or what does the owner aspires to do or get to. They come and sell some technology because they have them.
Yes.
And then run away, right? So apparently what happens is these owners, they lose trust on technology companies.
That's right.
Because, their employees are not trained properly. They are not told how to use the software more, efficiently or optimally. As a result of which, it lies like a white elephant out there. Okay, so that is something that needs to be avoided at any cost. Okay. And it is very important for the owner to do a fundamental, a thorough job, lay a strong foundation for a great future of transformation.
Ranga, any final takeaways for us before we end our conversation?
Final takeaway, we're a great technology company. We have different kinds of technologies. We'll be very happy to help the SMEs in Malaysia and across the region in their digital transformation journey. And we have been trusted partners for many companies for so many years. And we would like to enhance that going forward and help companies get benefited out of the technological transformation. So that would be my last take, probably.
Ranga, thank you very much for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you so much, Brian. All the very best. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm Brian Fernandez, and I've been speaking to Srirangarajan, Managing Director, ASEAN and Australia, New Zealand at Altair on Biztech's Technology Show. This video will be on our Facebook and LinkedIn sites, as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please subscribe and like our various platforms. Thank you very much for tuning in.